Professor Gahante Horn-Miller, who's going to co-chair with me, wasn't able to make it. She's got a young child who wasn't well. And Erin Forston is stuck in traffic, so may not make it over. But welcome to everybody else. Special welcome to Riem, our youngest member of our roundtable, who will provide his comments on our comments throughout the morning, I'm sure. So thank you for joining us. Bienvenue à notre table ronde sur le racisme. Qu'est-ce qui se passe dans le domaine du racisme et où allons-nous? As I noted in the invitation, we live in interesting times, and we have an interesting conundrum. On the one hand, Canada is one of the most diverse and harmonious countries in the world, and are the envy of many nations. As we look around the world, we are somewhat of an island of sanity and stability. On the other hand, we have had some serious racism through our history, starting with colonialism. Sometimes racism has been evident in society and sometimes from our governments. But I would like to think that since about the middle of the last century, we've had a series of more enlightened policies which both reflected Canadian society and which influenced Canadian society. Be that as it may, racism and hate have not gone away. Sometimes it's the remnants of history that never goes away, and sometimes it's geopolitical issues that cause negative attitudes here. But in recent months, we've been seeing a new phenomenon that's been under the radar through many decades. We have a more public pushback to ideas and policies of equality and fairness, a lot more open and a lot more confident than before. It's not enough to write those folks off as crazy right-wing populists or simplistic. If there is enough of this viewpoint to elect governments which are dedicated to rolling back the progress of recent decades, we need to rethink how we address diversity, how we address and combat racism and hate, and how we bring more Canadians back to a sense of fairness while making the progress we still need to achieve. So today we want to focus on a couple of things. Quelles sont les démarches que les gouvernements et les intervenants non gouvernementaux peuvent prendre pour éliminer le racisme et la haine? Quels sont les moyens à la disposition des Canadiens et Canadiennes pour lancer le dialogue et promouvoir la compréhension de l'autre, éliminer les préjudices et combattre le racisme? In short, what are the things that governments and non-government players need to do, and how do we create a more constructive and informative dialogue among Canadians? So today's roundtable is designed to begin to consider a national approach to dealing with racism and hate, and we wanted to keep this to a small group of about 25 to 30 people, and hence there are many people who are not here, many communities, agencies, governments, and regions and groups. And within 2 hours, there are many issues that we will only touch on briefly and others that we will not get to. But we have, I think, been able to pull together a really important cross-section of Canadians, you, who will share these ideas with us to include all the perspectives we need to be thinking about as we look at a larger approach to this. I want to thank our sponsors. I'll mention Unifor, the union, who is once again supporting the Pearson Centre in our work. And a special thank you to the Canadian Museum of History, especially Mark O'Neill and his staff, who have been very helpful in organizing this, but who are also hosting us today. I've known Mark for a long time. We had the pleasure of working together many years ago and kept in touch over the years. Mark, over to you.
Thank you very much, Andrew. I should tell you, Andrew actually gave me my first job, so it's more than I worked for him for International Youth Year in 1985, and we organized Canada's first, and I think only, cross-cultural youth conference for International Youth Year. It was a great conference.
And we were both 5 at the time.
Mais juste de dire bonjour tout le monde et bienvenue au Musée canadien d'histoire, et c'est vraiment un plaisir d'avoir tout le monde ici avec nous autres dans le musée. C'est une journée, une campagne nationale très importante pour tout le monde, pour le musée et pour tous les Canadiens et Canadiennes. It's a little bit of old home week for me. I worked on this campaign for 10 years. I began at what was then the Department of the Secretary of State of Canada on what became a national public awareness campaign around March 21. You know its history with the commemoration of the Sharpeville shootings in South Africa, and I think has become a very important commemoration for Canadians. I just wanted to, first of all, welcome you just as the president of the museum and acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of the Algonquin people. Our closest neighbors are the Kitigan-Zibi. We have a speaker from Kitigan-Zibi, and welcome. This relationship is very, very important to the museum. We have been working with the Algonquin Nation Tribal Council for the past year about how we are going to permanently acknowledge the land upon which the museum is situated, and between now and July we will have a permanent acknowledgement on the property, working with the community, and I think we'll be the first certain federal cultural institution to have such a recognition. And I just wanted to tell you a little bit about that very, very quickly, and if I may, some of the changes we're making here. When visitors come, they will be greeted by that acknowledgement. And when they come to our new history hall, which we're opening July 1st, they will be greeted through the words of Elder William Commanda, who will in fact welcome people to Algonquin territory. And the hall, the new hall that you've heard about and read many things about, in fact begins with creation stories, as well as archaeological evidence, and includes many important chapters of our history, the dark chapters as well. And I just thought I'd mention some of those to you today, just given the importance of this day and what it signifies. The whole issue of residential schools will be part of that permanent display. The incidents like the internment of Ukrainian Canadians in the First World War, Japanese Canadians, will be part of that display. The Komagata Maru story will be permanently displayed, and there are many others. Including right up to current day and the Syrian refugee crisis and Canada's response. So this is a museum exhibition that for the first time will tell very comprehensive stories about Canada based on the public record through multiple perspectives and voices. And I hope that you will all come and see it when it opens July 1st as a major Canada 150 legacy project. So Andrew has asked me to introduce some of the speakers today, so I'll just start with that, Andrew. Happy to do that. Amira Elghawaby is Communications Director for the National Council of Canadian Muslims. A journalist and vocal human rights activist, she leads the NCCM's media relations, public engagement, and strategic communications, and she will address the role of media and racism, feeding it or combating it. Welcome. Faria Ahmed, co-chair of the Justice for Abdirahman Coalition in Ottawa, and a story that I think you all know very well. The coalition was established shortly after his death in July 2016. A policy analyst and public relations and communications specialist, Faria is a career mentor and community development activist within the Somali Canadian community and will address police minority relations. Jackie Lawrence is Diversity and Equity Coordinator for the Ottawa Carleton District School Board. Jackie is also a published poet and author and program director of Three Dreads and a Bald Head literary series and host producer on Black on Black. And Jackie will talk about the role of schools and education in our diverse society. Derek Wawati Chabot is a baking and pastry student at Algonquin College, and that's a phenomenal program, by the way, which I know about through my friend Gay Cook and others, so very glad you're doing that. But she's also from Kitigan-Zibi, Quebec, as I mentioned earlier. Dara represented the constituency of Charlebourg-Haute-Saint-Charles in the House of Commons on International Women's Day as one of the 338 women participating in Equal Voices, the Daughters of the Vote program on Parliament Hill. And I should mention, the wonderful Derek was here in the Grand Hall, and what an appropriate spot it was, and I was there for it. And I think it was one of the best events I've been to in the museum this year. Just to see the energy in that room and the hope for the future was really quite phenomenal. Dara will be attending the University of Saskatchewan in the fall, and she'll share her perspectives as a young person. Dr. Karen Mock is president of JSpace Canada. Dr. Mock is the former executive director of the Canadian Race Relations Foundation and the League for Human Rights of Canada.